For years, we argued about content, bad posts, bad trends, and bad actors. Now the courtroom is asking something more unsettling. What if the problem isn't what's posted, but how the machine is built? Mark Zuckerberg and Adam Mosseri took the stand before a jury, not Congress, not a press tour, not a podcast, not none of that friendly ass shit that they've been doing over the past few years. But they defended the architecture of Instagram itself. This is all about design. Because if a system is engineered to keep you there, what happens when you're 13 and your brain is still wiring itself? This is The Prescription. I'm your host, Trill Pill. Let's start the show. Yeah, man. Before I get started, man, I just want to say shout out to everybody out there that has been digging the show. I appreciate the feedback. I need more feedback. Go ahead and send this to your mama, your cousin, your granny, your auntie. All the hustlers and the scholars are invited. I need people with a thinking mind. I need people with feedback because I want to start going live with these things, start getting people feedback, but I can't go live if I ain't got no people to go live with. So I need y'all to come in, foil in, and fuck with me. You feel what I'm saying? Deal with what we dealing with right now, having conversations that a lot of us are not having right now. A lot of niggas is worried about what Shamar doing on a random Tuesday, or who fucked who, or who whatever that these other niggas is worried about this other shit. But there's a lot more in the world, a lot more going on in this world to actually talk about something that's more productive and constructive. You understand me? So I appreciate everybody that's out there. I also have a deep appreciation for the people who have donated to the platform. I appreciate that because this shit is not easy to do. You know what I'm saying? It's not easy to do this shit. And a lot of times, especially as a content creator, you're never going to get your just due or whatever you feel like you deserve because it's so hard to get popping because it's you versus the field. You know what I'm saying? So every piece of appreciate, like just the likes, the shares, keep liking me, keep sharing me. You know what I'm talking about? And for those of you who spend a little bit of your hard-earned money and love what you see and love what you hearing and support the platform, I deeply appreciate it because you don't have to. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to do none of this shit. You don't even have to watch or listen to this shit. You feel me? Because all these minutes that you listen to me or anything else, you're not going to get that back. So I take that very serious in trying to put out content that's useful. Try to put out content that I'm trying to get a little more entertaining, but I want to be as informative as possible. And a lot of folks don't understand how many times I have to start over because, as you can hear, I kind of have a slight stutter, but I kind of, sometimes I redo some shit. I'll be 30 minutes, 40 minutes into an episode and I have to redo it because I don't like the way I said certain shit because I want to clip this up and make this the best shit possible. You feel what I'm saying? But I appreciate y'all because y'all make me want to keep doing this shit even when I don't want to. There have been some times where I don't want to do this shit. And I said, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? But like I said before, man, the fact that people say, oh, no, you got to keep going because, whatever. I appreciate that. And thank you. And keep doing it, and bring others. Bring a friend. And tell a friend and bring a friend too. All right, now we're gonna start the show. As you know, this is the prescription, the daily dose of whatever the fuck is going on around the world. Um, we're talking about this social media on trial. This algorithm is on trial, y'all. We're talking about Zuckerberg, Mosseri, Mohan, all of these guys right here. All of these big wigs with these platforms. Now, this is the episode the other day, the first one of the series, right? This was the first episode. This was these guys right here. You know what I'm saying? This is all the big wizards. This is the power four. In college football, I got a power four. This is the power four in social media. All right. So today we're talking about these three guys. All right. Mark Zuckerberg is still in the goddamn middle. That's gone to the left of him. His name is Adam Mosseri. He's the Instagram CEO. We got to the right, Neil Mohan. He's the CEO of YouTube. We'll talk about him and these two behind Mark Zuckerberg in a minute. But the algorithm is on trial. Attention is the battlefield. We're going to start with the addiction versus the usefulness. Now, Mark Zuckerberg's defense, it hinges on a framing move, right? If something is useful, then people use it more. That doesn't make it addictive. Technically, that's kind of coherent, But addiction isn't just ours. It's compulsion despite the harm. It's impaired control. It's continued use even when consequences worsen. The same behavior principles that drive engagement, the variable incentives, of the rewards, the intermittent reinforcement, the unpredictable validation, and well-documented learning mechanisms. The legal question is, did Meta want to harm? Did Meta build systems that predictably increase compulsion in vulnerable users? The intent matters, and the foreseeability matters even more. Now, Meta says under 13 users aren't allowed. Mark Zuckerberg acknowledged users lie about their age all the time. He called age verification complicated, and that's true as well. But complicated is not impossible. When revenue is threatened, engineering solutions accelerate. When growth is threatened, the friction becomes solvable. So the jury may quietly ask, was this a technical barrier or an incentive barrier? And if internal documents show awareness of underage usage, that shifts the whole frame from it being an accident to tolerated friction. And juries tend to focus on what companies knew. Now, internal documents reference goals tied to increasing time spent. Public statements historically downplayed time maximization as central. Zuckerberg described those metrics as gut checks, but growth companies measure what they value. And if time on platform is tracked and optimized and incrementally, incrementally, goddamn, did I say the word right? I'm not starting this shit out when I'm looking at more. Incrementally, incrementally, goddamn it. If time on platform is tracked, optimized, and incrementally nudged, it focuses on functions as the priority. I butchered the shit out of incrementally. I don't know why I put that shit in there. Trying to sound cool as hell. All right. Anyway, it's all about the alignment between internal metrics and public messaging and the real world impact. Consistency is credibility, and credibility is oxygen in the courtroom. Now we're going to get into Adam Mosseri's defense of the machine. So Adam Mosseri, head of Instagram, he testified that Instagram is not addictive, even if someone uses it 16 hours a day. Now, I don't know why the fuck he would say something like that because that makes no sense. Now, these two motherfuckers have made missteps all along this little, that's why I say, man, a lot of these motherfuckers are so arrogant. And we'll get to the rest of the shit later on. It's some shit that had nothing to do with the court, the files, just on some arrogant type shit, you know. But he said, even if someone uses it 16 hours a day, if someone uses crack 16 hours a day, I would say that they are addicted, right? If someone uses any type of drugs 16 hours a day, I would say they are addicted, right? If someone watched Bad Girls Club and Baddie's House and all this other bullshit ass content 16 hours a day, I would quite say that they're addicted. It's only 24 hours in the motherfucking day. 16 hours a day is 2 full-time shifts at work. God damn it. So that's what he said. In my opinion, this was a very out of touch. Like, this shit is out of touch. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just, I don't understand why he would say that, but I don't know, man. But anyway, so clinically, addiction isn't defined purely by hours. It's defined by loss of control and continued use despite the harm. So technically, he's not wrong, but jury's thinking lived experience 16 hours a day sounds like a loss of motherfucking control to me. Now, Mosseri's defense rests on 3 pillars, right? Heavy use and addiction. Engagement doesn't equal harm. Correlation doesn't equal causation. All right. Heavy use doesn't equal addiction. Engagement doesn't equal harm. And correlation doesn't equal causation. And legally, those are defensible. But Instagram uses the infinite scroll, the autoplay, push notifications, algorithmic ranking, social validation metrics. None of those are automatically equal addiction, but in my opinion, they are deliberate friction reduction tools designed to extend session time. The courtroom question becomes, are these neutral engagement features or dependency accelerants? If Instagram is a neutral communication tool, liability narrows. But if it's behaviorally, right? If it's a behaviorally engineered product, liability expands. And that's the line that he's protecting. And that's the line that he's pushing. You understand? Now, we got some shit that happened during this shit that was it's quite weird. It's quite weird. Now, the quieter moment that happened that didn't really get covered a lot was members of Zuckerberg's, I don't know, his partners, his homeboys, his entourage, they were seen walking in cool as hell, wearing metal smart glasses inside the courtroom. All right. Now, you already know they don't play that recording shit off in the courtroom like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know the rules, because some shit in the courtroom is recorded, some of it's not. But in that shit happening, when Zuckerberg on, they not having that shit. And so the judge got on their ass, and I got it pulled up right here. And we're gonna get more into it. It just seemed very tone deaf, right? Very tone deaf. And you're up against, like, this is a bellwether trial, right? This is a landmark trial. Like, this is the big domino that is waiting on to fall. And if it falls, a lot of shit is going to happen. The way that these platforms are going to be built and constructed and engineered is going to change forever. In my opinion, they should change forever. They should have been changed. But we'll get to the receipts, You know what I'm saying? Of this thing, this same shit happening throughout history. All right. We'll get to that in a minute, but let's get to these assholes wearing the medical glasses inside the courtroom. We're gonna pull this up real quick. Let me share my screen. Let me give you what I must see. Yeah, there we go. Let me hold up a little bit. Right there. I'm gonna go right here with it. Fair use. Fair use. Don't flag me down, baby. Matter of fact, let me change my goddamn. Let me put my copyright disclaim. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, they gonna flag anyway, but I don't give a fuck. All right, here we go.
Metrics against their competitors, so it's kind of.
It was a very strong argument that he did not tell the truth in that congressional hearing. It does not match any of the internal documents that we are now seeing, and he's not able to answer those questions now either. And so he's fumbling over them. And we just see that as a sign of, you know, he knew perfectly well what was going on. The intention of the company was to prey on teens, use teens' usage, exploit them so they can make greater profits. And that was done intentionally, not by accident.
Now, what she is talking about is Zuckerberg's prior congressional testimony. And what trial watchers are pointing out here is that congressional testimony is different from court testimony.
One black couple.
That's in front of a bunch of elected officials.
This shit should look like the Rainbow Coalition, man. We need everybody up here holding hands.
Follow up on any perceived bad information.
Is going to come into the frame on the right.
Oh my God, bro! These ads, man. Let's get through the ads, y'all.
The Meta glasses that have,
get back
and feel free. Yeah, these. It's an extraordinary, I would say, misstep by the company. They, for some reason, thought it'd be a good idea for the entourage going in there. And if you want to show that footage again, feel free. Yeah, these guys, you'll see the woman there who passes in the foreground. Then there's a guy who's going to come into the frame on the right. They're wearing the Meta glasses that have cameras built into them. You know, Mugo, you're not allowed to film inside that courtroom. And so the judge, Carolyn Cool, upbraided the Meta team and said, if you guys have recorded anything, you have to dispose of it, or I will hold you in contempt. That can't have been a good look for this for Zuckerberg going in. So, you know, your question here, what have we seen so far? I mean, for me, the thing that's so notable here is, you know, as Carter mentioned, and as that mother mentioned, right, we've seen Zuckerberg testify in front of something like a congressional subcommittee before. And those are highly performative, highly scripted, and very disorganized proceedings where there's no real discovery, there's no real documents presented. It's a lot of, you know, senators performing for the camera. In this case, you have real discovery. We have an enormous number of documents. And so he's going to his talking points, and then again and again, the plaintiff's lawyer is able to point out to him, but you do have this email here that says that your company goal was time spent, or here is the part of it where it says internally that your you know, that there was harm being caused here. Here's where your internal documents say that 4 million kids under the age of 13 are probably on here. You know, all of that stuff is something he's never really had to face before, and so I think this is going to be a pretty grueling period.
All right, that's enough. Let me get CBS off my motherfucking screen. Shout out to CBS, man. Y'all better not fuck over me, God. Better not fuck over me, goddamn it, because I'm going to appeal. But anyway, look, fair use. All right, shout out to them. But like I said, man, the entourage wearing the Meta glasses is so much of a misstep, in my opinion. You're defending your company against claims that its digital systems can psychologically overreach, and your team arrives wearing wearable Meta tech. Legally, it proves nothing, but courtrooms are human spaces. So the jurors don't just evaluate the evidence, they absorb the posture, the tone, the symbolism. And sometimes the misstep, it isn't in what's said, it's in what's signaled. The glasses may have been harmless hardware, but when it's a case about digital immersion and the youth vulnerability, they risk reinforcing the plaintiff's broader narrative that the culture of optimization is so normalized internally that it doesn't always see how it appears externally, right? You smelling your own shit, all right? In black people terms, you smelling your own shit. You walking around like your shit don't stink. You know what I'm saying? You walking around here with this smug look, with this, you know, all y'all weird, goofy, rich sons of bitches walking in with these metal glasses knowing goddamn well y'all can't do that. You know, so the judge got on their ass, you know, so the judge got on their ass. And in a jury trial, credibility is so fragile. The distance from human stakes in the room can feel louder than testimony, right? So as we move on, every major liability shift once sounded unreasonable. Courts don't ask whether a product is dangerous in general. They ask whether a specific design choice created foreseeable harm that was understood and tolerated. History has its receipts. I present to you Exhibit A. God damn it. Exhibit A. I said we got receipts. We're gonna go down with this right quick, man. Pull this up, man, because you know I'm a Microsoft Windows baby. You know what I'm saying? I'm a PowerPoint baby. We used to make PowerPoints for fun, but right now it's for the business. You understand me? Now, 3 examples that I brought up here, and it's many more, but for time's sake, I only want to present these. Now, the Ford Pinto. Foreseeable harm calculated away. All right, 1970s, Ford Motor Company sold a Pinto with a fuel tank design that made certain rear end collisions unusually lethal. Internal documents show Ford knew the risk and calculated it would be cheaper to pay lawsuits than redesign the tank. The legal breakthrough wasn't cars are dangerous. It was you knew this specific design increased the harm and accepted it. I think it was also on the Crown Vic as well. You know what I'm saying? I think the same type of the Crown Vic, I think, had that problem as well. I think Crown Vics are made by Ford. I do believe now. I never had one, but I've seen the plethora. I think it's a Ford Crown Vic. All the police cars in Dallas at one point in time was Crown Vics. And you might still see a Crown Vic on some 22s around this bitch, if you ask me. You know what I'm saying? A goddamn death trap on 24s, if you ask me now. This when shit to the left shows you I took my time to find this shit. You know what I'm saying? Let me find, you know what I'm saying? Let me find the skeletons. As you can see, you look this up yourself. Excuse me. You can look this up yourself. Yeah. I got it right here. All right, I got it right here. But Ford Pinto. Number 2 is big tobacco. The first thing I thought about with this case was, this sounds like the big tobacco. Remember when that big tobacco case was out? Growing up in the 90s, early 2000s. You know what I'm saying? When I found out how they marketed cigarettes back in the days when cigarettes first came out, these tobacco companies publicly denied nicotine addiction while eternally studying and enhancing it. Courts didn't act because smoking was unhealthy. They acted because addiction was understood eternally. Public messaging minimized risk, product design amplified dependency, not universal harm, but foreseeable harm combined with eternal knowledge. And we have one more slide and example. Big fucking Pharma. Now, I have a little bit of a personal experience with this. I had a mother, God rest her soul. Her birthday was on February the 10th, um, about a week and a half and some change ago. Rest in peace to my mother. Now, a lot of our parents and grandparents went through this time when they was giving out all these pills. They were creating all these oxycontins and Neurontin and Vicodins and all this shit. And they was handing them shits out like Skittles. Purdue Pharma, growth before guardrails, marketed OxyContin as a low risk while aggressively expanding prescriptions. And I mean aggressively. I can literally remember my mother having a plethora. And when I mean a plethora, I mean a plethora of pills they would give her when she was dealing with her pinched nerve surgery and things of that nature. Like she just had a bunch of pills that, it knocked her off. It imbalanced her. It knocked her off a pivoted. You feel what I'm saying? Like it was a weird time. It was a weird time. So, I got big smoke, forever in life. Because I also think that they use a lot of our parents and grandparents as guinea pigs during this time. And they still are. They just don't, you know how it is, you know. But they guinea pigged our people. They guinea pig people that, because once you take that shit, it changes your body forever. You know what I'm saying? So while they're saying, oh, it won't take that, that much of an effect on you, it'll make you feel better, but you gotta take this pill for that pill. You gotta take that pill for this pill. And before you know it, you 8 pills down a day. You know what I'm saying? So the lawsuits weren't about painkillers existing, they were about risk minimization, market expansion, internal awareness of dependency. The product wasn't illegal. All right. The strategy became the liability. You understand what I'm saying? So, let me go back to this page right here. All right. So like I said, man, no, that's not what I want right there. Let me close this out. Let me close this out real quick. There we go. There we go. All right. So, like I said, what I showed you were all landmarks, and that is exactly what I believe this is as well, And also lead paint. Y'all remember the lead paint for children and walls and whatever the lead, whatever that shit had. Wherever you painted that lead paint on products for children, a higher duty for care. When products target children, the standards tighten. The vulnerability raises the bar. And Instagram doesn't contain chemicals, but it operates inside adolescence psychology, right? And that matters the most. Like I said, a lot of us are literally watching this shit right motherfucking now. A lot of us are observing these things as we live our lives and as our children grow, and it's different, especially I'm 35 years old. I'm a millennial. I can remember when they dropped the internet like the hottest mixtape in the universe. You know what I'm saying? It was the greatest thing, but all of a sudden you started seeing someone, it's just weird because they never set parameters for protection for children. They never did that. They never cared. A lot of these platforms never gave a fuck. It was all about the money. It was all about the, what I'm saying? All about the revenue. They didn't give a fuck. And like they said on the Ford Pinto shit, they knew that paying lawsuits off would be better and least and less expensive than going back in there and doing the shit, the recalls and going, because they this shit is mass produced. Pinto, niggas slide around the Pinto, they blowing up every motherfucking morning. These cigarettes, boy, niggas smoking a cigarette, stank all around. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what's in there, but you can tell by a smell. Ain't nothing healthy in there. Ain't nothing, you know what I'm saying? It fuck with your brain. All that shit. It just does, man. And a part of that is the human exhibiting some level of cognitive dissonance. I'm speaking personal experience. Every once in a while in the past, I was smoking a black and mild. I know the black and miles wasn't healthy for me. You know what I'm saying? My mother passed away from lung cancer, so I know damn well I should be smoking no black and mild, but you know what I'm saying? So there's the human error in that as well. And I guess that's the fine line between, all this shit. You feel me? So the mirror moment is this. This trial isn't asking whether Instagram is evil, or whether Meta is evil, or Facebook for that matter, or WhatsApp, or anything else these platforms, whatever these platforms are, right? It's asking whether we've reached a moment where every industry eventually faces when optimization becomes negligence. The industries say we innovated, we grew, we didn't intend harm. The courts ask what was known, what was foreseeable, what was left unaddressed. If digital environments shape behavior the way physical products shape outcomes, then architects inherit responsibility. The algorithm isn't neutral. It is infrastructure. That's what it is. I improvised that. It's a whole other word I had in my mind, but what popped up in my mind just then was, if, let's just say, someone's building a house and the house is built poorly. People inside the house, let's just say, somebody building a house, the construction companies and all that shit. The house is built poorly. The house structure fails. The infrastructure fails. People inside the house that bought the house and live in the house, they end up dying because the house was built poorly. Then the people that will be held responsible are the people who built the fucking house. And this is the same with this shit. I have to break this shit down, you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes all this word jargon and all this litigation talk and lawyer talk, it disturbs me. It's interesting for a fact because, as y'all would know by now, law definitions are very different from just general definitions. So it's very much a word game, a word salad, and how you say things and when you say things and the tone you say them and, all that shit right there. You feel me? But digital environments shape the behavior, the way that these physical products shape the outcomes. And the architects have to inherit responsibility for how they build a house. How else? You know what I'm saying? Like, people who build the houses can't just build a house any kind of goddamn way, cheap ass materials. You know what I'm saying? They went real cheap on the shit. You know what I'm saying? They didn't level this shit out right. They didn't do the foundation right. Now the whole house caving the fuck in. Now the kids downstairs playing, all of a sudden, whole, top floor cave in on them and somebody died. Like, somebody has to be held responsible. And that person would be the people who built the fucking house. That's just me thinking how that shit would go, right? I mean, that's just me thinking that. That's just, I feel like it's common sense. But as we know, common sense is not that common, But that's what I see this as. When I look at it, when I zoom out, when I zoom out of all the, when I could get done taking all these motherfucking notes and watching all these clips and writing, just writing this shit down and all this shit. That's basically what it is. You build a house. If you build the house poorly, right, you are responsible when that shit fails. All right, I'm talking about people who have lost their children. These platforms, people committed suicide. Kids committed suicide. Kids are cruel. Kids were cruel without the internet. Kids are even more cruel. Now they'll film you when you out there trying to get your wands in. If you get knocked out, it's on camera. If you wearing some shoes that ain't trendy, it's on camera. You being picked on and bullied, it's on camera. They picking on you all day, every day. You know what I'm saying? It don't just end at school. Like, it go from school and then all of a sudden goes to at home. It's a lot, man. And it's unfortunate that this shit is like this, but this is the way it motherfucking is, bro. And these platforms just continue to let this shit go. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. You can look at Mark Zuckerberg's face and his whole entourage and say they don't give a fuck. TikTok and Snapchat don't give a fuck. It's all type of weird pedophile type of shit going on. All these platforms, they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. They didn't want the smoke. Like I said with the Ford, and Ford Pinto, and Ford felt like, man, it's a whole lot easier to pay these lawsuits and get out the way than it is to go back and redesign and actually fix what the problem is. That's what I think about these platforms. These two assholes on the right, Snap Inc. and ByteDance, they own the companies that own TikTok and Snapchat. That's why they got the fuck out the way early. Because they already knew they didn't want the fucking smoke, especially not TikTok. This TikTok nigga, no, he ain't want no smoke with that shit. TikTok has been under fire. I knew when it came out, when he was part of the case, that he didn't want no more smoke with the goddamn, with none of this courtroom shit. Because he already know what's going on. You feel what I'm saying? He already know. They settled out of court. TikTok and Snap settled out of court. It's a bunch of wild pedophilic shit going on these platforms that they know about. That possibly they're a part of. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't count nobody out for shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. These motherfuckers is elite, they're rich, that's smug, that's somewhat untouchable due to how much money they have. And unfortunately, people feel like because they got a lot of money, they can't be touched. But they getting pockets tapped now. And that was a problem. It wasn't no problem when they wasn't getting their pockets tapped. Now they getting pocket tapped. What you got? What is this? What is that? How was this constructed? What was this? You know what I'm saying? Now they getting asked the real questions. And like dude said, they sat in front of these, whatever the fuck it was, all that performance shit. This is the real deal now. This is the real spiel now. Did you know that the product that you have was going to be harmful? And you didn't give a fuck. On my phone, when I open Instagram, on my phone, I gotta answer comments and some DMs and shit. Well, first thing that pops up is teen privacy shit. That shit should have been on there when the shit first opened. Like I always say, and like I always try to tell these kids, like, Instagram wasn't like this at first. Like, it wasn't about, I'm saying? Like, I was barely on this shit, but I was on this shit a little bit just to know, like, it wasn't about what it's about now. You know what I'm saying? Like, this shit is totally out of control now. You know what I'm saying? Now it's I don't know, man. I got so much to say, but because I haven't figured out how to structure it. I just don't want to go off rambling because this has been a pretty decent episode. So I'm gonna continue on with this shit. Now, let me see. Where am I at? Okay. Now, the algorithm it isn't neutral anymore. It's rankings. It's infrastructure. Like I said, the house built poorly, people die in the house. Who's responsible? People who built the house, right? Now, when engagement becomes the product, the attention becomes the cost. When engagement becomes the product, attention becomes the cost. This case may not dismantle Meta. It may not rewrite. Sound like I'm a foot. Rewrite. It may not rewrite tech policy tomorrow, but it marks a shift for shit show. We've moved from blaming the users to examining the architecture, from debating content to scrutinizing the design, from spectacle to deliberation. Fuel tanks were redesigned, right? After the Pinto shit, fuel tanks redesigned. That changed how fuel tanks were made in every motherfucking car around the world. Nicotine admissions surfaced. Opioid marketing was re-examined. And now the attention is on trial. And once design enters the courtroom, the blueprint can never hide again. So this is gonna be a long, slow process, and this shit is not done. Zuckerberg and Adam Mosseri already testified. So what's up next is the plaintiff going under KGM. Many reports they indicate that the plaintiff, she's now 20 years old, who brought the lawsuit, she's gonna take the stand later on off of the trial. So I'm gonna stay tuned in for that as well. The additional expert witnesses, what's all the names being? But anyway, all the experts, all the addiction experts and the witnesses, plaintiff's attorneys call, the research expert, psychology, adolescent brain development, behavioral sciences, and social media impacts. Some academic experts have already testified or been mentioned. Like I said, this shit's gonna go on for a long time. I think it should. This shit has to draw out, like shit, at least to the summertime. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole lot on the table that has to be said. Now, YouTube, Google representatives, right? Because Google's YouTube remains a defendant in the case alongside Meta, a representative or executive from Google may also testify. That depends on how the plaintiff structured their case. Now, already removed and not testifying is the guy on the right, Neil Mohan. That's who I want to hear talk for shit show. That's who I think, eventually this case is going to, in my opinion, break down to content creation. That's where I see this shit funneling to. Once this shit, hopefully this goes the way that I'm thinking that, it'll go. Now we got to get into content creation and how they pick and pop with that shit. Cause that shit is a whole nother ball game. Now, I don't know if some of these big wigs, not really big wigs, but I don't know if some of these big content creators will, put it out there on the line, because they get paid a lot of money. Speed said he went from a million a month to 800,000 a month off of YouTube. I wonder why. And if he went from a million a month to 800,000 a month, I wonder how much you niggas is out here slandering other niggas for. You know what I'm saying? If the biggest on the planet if they shit done went down, I wonder how much y'all shit done went down too. You feel what I'm saying? So that's something to look at too, because we have to figure out what the fuck are they doing and how are they changing and why did they change the monetization rules from 1,000 to watch hours? The watch hours. That's why I say the attention is going to be important in this. The attention is the battlefield. You understand what I'm saying? Attention is the battlefield. We have to ask these questions, you know, and we'll get there. And in the future, I'll explore that scenario as well, of what could be in the future from this landmark bellwether case. You understand what I'm saying? This is big time, you know, this is a big deal right now. You feel me? So Neil Mohan isn't testifying. He was originally scheduled, but he was removed from the witness list by the plaintiffs. I don't know why. No details on why. No details on how. But that is what it is. Now, the trial is ongoing and still can stretch for days and weeks. Beyond Zuckerberg and Adam Mosseri, typical civil trials like this include more plaintiff testimonies, expert witnesses, like I said, corporate witnesses, the engineers, product manager, safety leads, definitely some marketing people, rebuttal witnesses, possibly on the behalf of Meta and YouTube, right? So while the two headline executives have testified, the narrative isn't finished yet, especially once the expert and plaintiff testimony concludes. All right. So the shit isn't over yet. And when I find something that's interesting in this, or something that jumps out at me, I'll be right back here with flavor in your ear. You feel what I'm saying? I'll be right back here with flavor in your ear. Now, this is the prescription. You know, usually we get down on very immersive, I guess you can say, vulnerable topics. But hey, man, this is important to me as well. So, like I said, man, this show gives me the ability to dive in those things and see what y'all say, see how y'all feel, and come back with it and do it all again. You know what I'm saying? So, as the show ends, I want to say I appreciate everybody out there that has helped me out with the show, give me ideas, brainstorming, giving me information. And I appreciate everybody, that supports the show, shares the show, reposts the show, likes the show, give me feedback on the show. I don't care how you give me feedback. Well, I do care how you give me feedback. You know what I'm saying? Go on to YouTube and give a nigga some feedback. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you give me some likes and shit. Because you know how this shit gotta go. You know what I'm saying? We need them likes. You know what I'm talking about? We need that shit. But I just want to say thank you, everybody. Yeah, that's it, man. Everybody have a happy Sunday. I love y'all. I see y'all soon. Look out for an episode on Tuesday. Another episode will be dropping. Usually these Sundays are my recording days, so I knock out 2-3 episodes, 4 or 5 episodes, how many ever I feel, until I get tired and get ready to eat something. That's how I do this shit, man. But y'all stay tuned to the prescription, the daily dose. You know what I'm saying? Come get you a daily dose. And also, don't forget to go to the Substack. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm barring up. You know what I'm saying? I'm writing some bars. You know what I'm saying? I keep telling y'all, man, it's hard to compete. It's hard to compete out here in these streets, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm exercising my right to write. You know what I'm saying? Shit makes me feel better on the inside. Make me feel warm and fuzzy on the inside when I write something down, when I pin something down and like, ooh, yeah, I like that right there. You know what I'm saying? We got a whole lot of copy and pasters, going on out here. These niggas ain't being genuine because these niggas don't even think like that, what they be writing. They don't even think like that. So they don't use some type of, they using ghostwriters out here in their articles, y'all. But no, man, I love y'all, man. Shit, I'm out, man. I'm about to go eat me something. You know, go make me something to eat. So I appreciate y'all for stopping through, man. I'm done. I'm out of here. I'll let y'all later.